Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Joining me now is Mike Davis. He's the former chief counsel to the Senate Judiciary Committee. He's also the founder and president of the Article 3 Project. As chief counsel for nominations for the committee, he advised Chairman Chuck Grassley and other senators on the confirmation of federal judges and other senior executive branch appointees. Actually, Mike Davis has served in all three branches of the federal government, including working for President George W. Bush in the Justice Department, working for House Speaker Newt Gingrich, and also working for current Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch. We are pleased to have Mike Davis with us today. Mike, I have to ask you about this spasm of what appears to me to be coordinated violence against Tesla dealerships, against Tesla charging stations, against Tesla drivers and their vehicles. We're talking about Molotov cocktails, shootings, bombings, vandalism, arson. And listen to Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett talk about this.
So I'll make sure that I keep it short, but I am truly here for very selfish reasons. Starting with on March 29th, it's my birthday. And all I want to see happen on my birthday is for Elon to be taken down. Yes.
And then here's the even more troubling comment where she calls for a physical attack on Senator Ted Cruz.
I think that you punch. I think you punch. I think you're okay with you okay with punching. You know, I think, and I love Colin. And I think towards the end, he started to punch a little harder. But, like, it's Ted Cruz. I mean, like, this dude has to be knocked over the head, like, hard, right? Like, there is no niceties with him, like, at all. Like, you go clean off on him, right?
Mike, welcome to the Stone Zone. Your reaction?
I would say this to these terrorists and those who are inciting these terrorists. There are new sheriffs in town, and those sheriffs are Attorney General Pam Bondi and FBI Director Kash Patel. And they've already made it very clear publicly that they're not going to tolerate this. So if people want to make political violence the norm in America, they're going to end up in prison.
And we have seen that these are coordinated attacks, that there's central funding, just as we found recently that in this massive rally that AOC and Senator Bernie Sanders, the millionaire senator from Vermont, held, that there was mostly AstroTurf. This is, I think, agitprop. This is a psyop to create the misimpression that the American people don't support the drastic reforms that President Donald Trump has embarked on. I have to ask off the top, the ruling by Judge Boasberg in the District of Columbia, in that district, that the president doesn't have the authority to deport terrorists and other illegals, including criminals. Is he not vastly overreaching, going well beyond his authority?
Yes, D.C. Obama Judge Jeb Boasberg his orders are both lawless and dangerous. They're lawless because separate from statute, the president, as the commander-in-chief under Article 2 of our Constitution, has the absolute constitutional power, in fact, duty to repel invasion of our country. And that's exactly what's going on with these foreign terrorists, Tren de Aragua from Venezuela or MS-13 from El Salvador. These are the most vicious terrorists and criminals in the Western Hemisphere. They are invading our country. They are kidnapping, robbing, raping, torturing, murdering. And the president is fulfilling his constitutional duty and his campaign promise to get these monsters the hell out of America. And this Judge Boasberg does not have the power to order what he's ordering. At best, this would be a habeas petition from these terrorists in El Salvador and Texas. these activist lawyers running to these activist judges in D.C. and getting these illegal, unlawful TROs and other injunctions. And it's dangerous because this judge held this hearing 2 Saturdays ago during the middle of the ongoing military intelligence and law enforcement operation that exposed the operation, putting American and allied lives in grave danger. This Judge Boasberg ordered the planes turn around the terrorists, which is insane. We saw the security footprint in El Salvador with hundreds of officials ready to receive these terrorists. We probably did not have the same footprint in America because no one would ever imagine that a judge would open up a hearing during the middle of the operation and order planes turn around. He didn't know the fuel levels when it was flying over the Gulf of America. It's just absolutely insane that this judge ordered this, and it's dangerous because why would a foreign leader trust that a secret operation with the president will remain secret? Why would a foreign leader want to put his neck on the line to do a foreign operation with the president of the United States if an activist judge is going to expose it and sabotage it?
In the meantime, you have other federal judges with other rulings. You have a judge in California ruling that the president cannot fire some 16,000 he cannot fire federal employees at will, and has ordered him to rehire some 1,600 probationary employees. Yet another judge has ruled that he cannot ban transgender people in our military. This is judicial tyranny. But for those who say, those judges need to be impeached, impeaching a federal judge is an extraordinarily high bar. First of all, you need grounds. I'll let you address that. But it's also secondarily, it's much like the impeachment of a president. The impeachment in the House is merely an indictment. You would go to a trial in the Senate, and you would need a 2/3 vote to remove a federal judge. Very difficult, no?
Yes, but I think it serves as an important deterrent. Look, I've never called for a judge to be impeached. I have never called for anyone to ignore a judge's order until now, because what Boasberg did is not only so lawless, it is very dangerous. It put American and allied lives in jeopardy. It hindered the president's ability to conduct foreign affairs then and in the future if you can't trust the president, right, if you're a foreign leader. And so I have called for both the president to ignore this lawless order. This judge is doubling down, trying to get operational details about the military mission to which this judge is absolutely not entitled. He says he has a security clearance. Well, guess what? You may have a security clearance, but you don't have the need to know. So you don't get this information, Judge. It's not your job to meddle in military affairs. And I think impeachment, you're right, it's a high bar. It's unlikely to succeed in the Senate, but I want to make the process the punishment. I want this to serve as a deterrent. I was the chief counsel for nominations on the Senate Judiciary Committee with the oversight portfolio for the federal judiciary. I know that calling for impeachments will get the Chief Justice's attention, and the point of this is to the Chief Justice. He needs to get his judicial house in order. And if he refuses to do it, Congress is going to do it for him, whether it's impeachment, whether it's stripping jurisdiction from these judges, whether it's taking away funding. There needs to be serious reforms to these activist judges' courts so they stop sabotaging the president.
When we come back, we're going to talk to Mike Davis about these other illegal actions and whether President Trump's appeal to the Supreme Court can be successful. Whatever you do, you're in the Stone Zone. Don't touch that dial. We will be right back with Mike Davis, former counsel to the Senate Judiciary Committee, on the latest judicial tyranny. We're talking with Mike Davis, the former chief counsel for nominations to the U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee. He's also the founder and president of the Article 3 Project, that's A3P. The Article 3 Project defends constitutionalist judges and the rule of law. Mike, tell folks where they can go to get more information on your great organization.
I appreciate that, Roger. Article3project.org. Article number 3project.org.
It is a very worthy nonprofit. Mike is a fighter for the Constitution, for the America First agenda. Mike, the Justice Department has filed a motion to disqualify U.S. District Judge Beryl Howell from overseeing a lawsuit brought by the hard left Democrat activist law firm Perkins Coie. Perkins Coie, of course, is the law firm that commissioned the Steele dossier. I'm very familiar with Judge Howell. First of all, remember that she ordered President Trump's own lawyers to testify against him in the so-called documents case, clear violation of the Sixth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. She also essentially upheld the unconstitutional gag order on me when I went to trial in the Russian collusion hoax frame job in Washington, D.C. Nowhere does it say that if you are charged with a crime, you lose your First Amendment free speech rights. I filed a writ of mandamus, and she sat on it for 8 months while I was savaged by CNN and the Washington Post, and then ruled just before trial that my motion was not yet ripe for a decision because I had not asked Judge Amy Berman Jackson, who placed the unconstitutional gag order on me, to remove it. So tell us about your views on this case. What are Judge Howell's conflicts of interest in the Perkins Coie matter?
Well, what the Trump Justice Department raised in its motion to disqualify Judge Beryl Howell is that she's just demonstrated repeated hostility to President Trump. And they've documented multiple instances where she's been publicly hostile. For example, she appeared at a women's white-collar Defense Association gala back in March of it would have been November of 2023, and she delivered a speech there, and she talked about essentially how we're at a crossroads as a country, and essentially Trump was a dictator who was going to destroy America is her thesis for her speech back in 2023. Well, obviously, if you think a party before you is a dictator and you've gone out there and said that he's a dictator, essentially, you're probably not going to give that party a fair shake before your courts.
I had that same experience in D.C. The judge in my case, Amy Berman Jackson, praised the jury when they came back with a guilty verdict. And then when we learned that the jury forewoman, who had said during jury selection and throughout my trial she was unfamiliar with me, she wasn't familiar with my case, had been attacking me and Donald Trump by name regarding the very case in which she had been selected as a juror. Thanks to the journalist Mike Cernovich, we learned this. The judge insisted that was not evidence of bias, and she refused to give me a new trial. She also said in at my sentencing that I had been convicted of covering up for Donald Trump. That was not a charge, and there was nothing to cover up. It was only later, after I was fully pardoned, and BuzzFeed sued the U.S. Justice Department to get the long-redacted, long-hidden final report from Robert Mueller, removing all the black marks that covered the sections about me, that Mueller himself admitted that he had found no evidence of Russian collusion, WikiLeaks collaboration, or any other crime, and that the problem with prosecuting me for any of those things was that there was no factual basis for the charge. Nonetheless, I have experienced the D.C. swamp firsthand. Do you think now that the president has a good chance of getting the Supreme Court to step in all of these federal actions where you have politically motivated judges exceeding their authority and essentially challenging the executive authority given to the President of the United States in the Constitution?
Well, I would say this to the Chief Justice of the United States, John Roberts. The legitimacy of the federal judiciary is on the line. And when the federal judiciary loses its legitimacy with the American people, it loses everything. It does not have an army to enforce its orders. It relies on the executive branch. And you have President Trump he campaigned on the fact that he's going to hire Elon Musk, set up the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, root out waste, fraud, and abuse, secure our border, and deport these illegal immigrants, particularly foreign terrorists Trende Aragua and international gangbangers MS-13. And President Trump is doing the unthinkable. He's actually doing what he promised American voters he would do, and he's doing it fast. President Trump is not stealing legislative power from Congress under Article 1. He's not stealing judicial power from the Supreme Court under Article 3. He is exercising core Article 2 executive power. And you have these activist judges who are serving as the last line of defense for the Trump resistance, because Trump won a broad electoral mandate, 312 electoral votes, all 7 swing states, the popular votes. He kept the House. He won a comfortable margin in the Senate. The American people gave President Trump and his allies a mandate to do what he promised he would do. These activist judges are not exercising judicial review under Article 3. They are exercising judicial sabotage of the president's Article 2 powers. And if the Supreme Court does not stop this, if the Supreme Court does not stop these lawless temporary restraining orders in name only when they're actually legislation but from the bench, and executive orders from the bench, if the Supreme Court does not get its judicial house in order, if the Chief Justice does not stop these activist judges from sabotaging the presidency, then it's going to be this is going to end very badly for the judiciary, because if the Chief Justice won't get his house in order, Congress will, through impeachment, through appropriations, through oversight, through jurisdiction stripping. This is unacceptable what these activist radical judges are doing, and it's only gotten worse because the Chief Justice and Justice Barrett failed to do their job 3 weeks ago and stop Judge Ali from sabotaging the president on foreign aid, and that only emboldens. And now we have judges trying to sabotage military operations. It's unacceptable.
It's extraordinary to watch the left insisting that Elon Musk has no authority, that he can't possibly dig into not millions, not billions, but trillions of dollars of waste, fraud, and corruption, when, of course, his authority flows from the chief executive. The chief executive has the power to grant him that authority. The same people who say that he wasn't elected, well, Dr. Fauci was not elected. The difference is that Elon Musk's public service is probably costing him money, whereas Dr. Fauci and his wife, both federal bureaucrats, made millions and millions of dollars on the vaccinations that they were pushing and trying to mandate. Who could be in favor of waste, fraud, and corruption? It is a sure bet that those who are yelling the most have the most to hide. And USAID, which was, I think, nobly caused by President John F. Kennedy as a way to fund Central and South American countries who were fighting communism, has morphed into a slush fund for the radical left. It is essential the Supreme Act. I'm not much of a vote counter. I've been disappointed in Judge Barrett, and I don't know at the end of the day whether this court will stand up and support what the American people overwhelmingly voted for in the last election. I think we have to pray for that. Again, Mike Davis joining us. Mike, tell us one more time where people can go to the Article 3 project that you so ably run.
I appreciate that, Roger. It's article3project.org, article number 3project.org. You can follow us on social media, donate, and the most important thing your listeners can do is take action.
All right. Many thanks to our guest, Mike Davis, and for all of our listeners here in the zone. Until we meet again, God bless you and Godspeed.